All right, we are in here. Hey everyone, how are you? Whoop, sorry. So the ladies are coming on. Let me get this here. So today on episode 4 of Reptiles and Cocktails, I have invited on some of my favorite ladies in the reptile community, and they will be joining us today. Um, One is going to be Capri Monroe, and Capri Monroe is actually a reptile queen, and she actually admins the Reptile Kings and Queens Facebook page. So she's on today. We have the wonderful Melody Patterson back again, of Patterson Pythons and Pets. And then we have Jordan here again today. Jordan was actually on episode 1, and Jordan is with us today of Cherry Ball. So we're going to bring on all the ladies. Um, and we're going to just be, reptile talk. I have a couple questions or a few questions for them. A lot for Capri because this is Capri first time on the platform. And although we socialize a lot on social media, I have never, asked her a host of personal questions about her reptile journey. So stay tuned. Hey, ladies, ladies, ladies.
Hello.
Hey.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome, everyone. Come on in. Come on in. Bear with me 1 second. There we go. All right. Hi, Monica. Welcome, welcome. Hey, Reggie. We were just talking about you off camera. Really, really bad. I'm not going to tell you what we said. Hey, Reggie. I actually have some babies coming from Reggie's Urban Jungle. So I'm excited. Um, I think it's two, three I got coming from Reggie, so I'm excited. Hey, Mike with Herb Collector. So, guys, Mike did his first podcast the other day, and it was absolutely phenomenal. I had such a good time. I communicate with Mike again on social media a lot, but it was really cool to be able to get to know more about him and all that he has done in the last 2 years. So we're all up and coming, and we're all doing big things, and it's just amazing when we get this platform to find out how much more we're doing. Reggie, it was good things. It was good things. Um, so Reggie, of course, will be in Tinley. Reggie goes to every. I always make that joke. I don't know if he does or not, but I've never seen him miss Tinley or Arlington since I have been in the group. So he'll definitely be there. So Capri, welcome, and
Thank you
I
for
just
having
want
me.
you, and you are so well. Thank you, and thank you because Capri is working today, so she actually, made her schedule open for us to be for her to join. But I wanted you to start because, like I said, you haven't been on the podcast, and I've never been able to actually interview you directly. So you did something amazing this year or last year. You want to share that what you have done to further your interest in the reptile hobby?
Yeah, so let me just tell everybody. So I actually got my first snake back in September of 2020. I've always wanted snakes, but growing up as a kid, you know how parents are. No, you ain't having no reptiles in my house, and da 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 da. But it all started back in '89, in my third grade class. We actually had an animal presentation. And the animal that they brought to our class was a corn snake. And all the little children were afraid. I'm like, this is cool. This is a beautiful snake. I like, look at its belly. It's a checkerboard belly. I love this. And from there, I've had a fascination with snakes, and we ended up moving to Jacksonville, North Carolina 3 years later. My neighbor had several reptiles. I'm talking about like iguanas, ball pythons, horned lizards. And he actually gave me a horned lizard. I brought it home. And my parents were like freaking out, like, why are you bringing this lizard in the house? I'm like, it's my pet. It's my pet now. But years later down the road, I started getting more interested in retics and Burmese pythons. I've never had a chance to get a big snake yet, but it's going to be coming soon, maybe another couple of years or so. But I ended up getting my first ball python September 2020.
Okay.
2 months later, I ended up getting a pied ball. After the pied ball, I got a normal, and now I have an albino. So I have four ball pythons now, and I just love them. And I want to say within the last couple months, I started the Kings and Queens of Reptiles. It's a private Facebook group. And I hope to, grow the group. I want to learn more about, the reptiles, as far as breeding in the future. But my main focus right now is learning more about the morphs. I understand the husbandry and care and stuff like that, but I want to get to more of learning about the different morphs, the different type of species and stuff like that before I get into the whole breeding part, because that's a whole nother ball game right there. But yeah, the plan is to get more people involved about reptiles and to understand that they're not bad animals. Snakes get a bad rep from a lot of people. They think they're the worst animals in the world, and they're not. They're like my therapy animals. They're like my spirit animals. I love them. They make me feel calm. They relax me when I get home, and I just wish more people would understand the importance of that. They're not bad animals at all. So that's the goal, is to get more people educated about these animals. So
yeah, and I definitely that's definitely has been my goal all my life. Even as a young child, my cousins and them joke about how I just would put snakes in their laps and things like that. And it would be, I wanted people to see there's nothing to be afraid of. Welcome, Petsite. Reggie, I figured that, right? Reggie goes to every Tinley, so he'll definitely be there. So I think that what's amazing for me and what I'm enjoying in my new journey is, even when it comes to breeding, I'm finding that there's so many more women that are breeding ball pythons. Like I was telling Melody on our last podcast, when I was coming up, I only really knew of like Tracy Barker. I didn't know of a lot of women who were actually breeding. So Melody, actually, if you don't know, actually got her own clutch already.
Congratulations. That's awesome. I'm gonna get there one day. That's awesome.
Yes.
It's
And
the only
they're
one so
actually
far.
beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah, that's the only one so far. I don't know. The rest of them don't want to cooperate, so we'll.
Yeah, but it was, a nice surprise, and that's because I think for me, the patience with the journey. Actually, I don't know. I think because I'm transitioning into breeding, I'm not as anxious, because it's still hard for me to transition from that mentality that I'm by. Like I have y'all this last 30 days, I done bought snakes from everybody. Just waiting for them to be shipped. And I'm going to the Rex. I never dealt with a Rex system. So, like, that's new to me, to be able to walk in a room and I can't see my snake. So, y'all can tell me if I'm wrong, Reggie and everybody. Y'all can laugh at me. But I open them Rex every single day. I go in there every single day. I pick up my favorites. I pick up anyone who's in a mood. The one that I got recently, which was I think it was a black pastel, yellow belly gravel, yellow belly or gravel. He
Mm-hmm.
was really defensive the day I got him, so I pick him up every day, even in shed. He was sweeter in shed than he was out of shed. So I kind of like the balance. However, I I think I'm going for when I do have my very first clutch. I want it to be a very very nice clutch stacked with a lot of jeans. So I've spent probably more than I ever spent on ball pythons recently because spending money on retics to me was normal because it's a bigger snake. But when you're
Mhm.
starting to spend this kind of money, no knocks to ball python people, because I was a ball python girl first. Let's be clear. I was a ball python girl first. Retics did not enter my life until COVID entered my life. So, but it's easier when you see a snake that you know is going to be big, kind of like a car, bigger truck. You expect to spend more money, so
Right.
it's just transition in that mindset. But understanding, like Capri was saying, understanding how you need to stack jeans. I look at it differently. I'm looking at it from a business standpoint. I'm proud of myself where I am right now and how I have made my purchasing decisions because it tells me that I'm definitely growing because I'm not even buying snakes, not necessarily based on what they look like
Right.
alone, although that's a part of my thought process, but it's not all of it. Um, so Jordan, you have a lot of you have a lot of animals, period. But are you
Yeah.
breeding ball pythons too?
So I used to breed ball pythons.
Okay.
And it was kind of like in and out for a few years, and then I decided, you know what, I'm just gonna take it by the bull by the horns and do it myself. I was still in at that time I was still in beauty school full time, and I was also working full time, so it was a lot. Like I dropped so much money, and yeah, like I mean, so I nowadays after I sold everything, I still have like one pair. I'm growing the female up. I have a really nice yellow belly pied male that's het for albino. So I'm
Okay.
hoping to prove out a few hets in my female, but we'll see. I might get back into balls, but how I look at it is, and I'm not knocking on any of the ball python breeders or those getting into it because I think it's super special. To me, everyone's breeding it, like so it seems kind of like how the bows are a little bit, like a lot of people are specializing in certain locales now. I just feel like ball pythons with everyone doing it, you're getting like
It's kind of
people
yeah.
one thing, it's like German Shepherd breeders. There's so many different German Shepherd breeders out there, and so then you got so many different levels of quality.
Right.
Right.
When it comes to breeding ball pythons, what I really like is the genetic aspect.
Right.
So I'm looking at all these recessives to go with the het, like what I found out is if you get het females to a visual male, especially for piebalds, your clutches come out so much better. You get less, I don't know, you just get better quality eggs, in my opinion. But looking towards the long run side of things, when I was doing it, I wanted to obviously make something that no one else has ever made before. So that's something to keep definitely in the back of your mind when you're coming into this. Like if you want to make a freeway, make a freeway. But there's however many other breeders also making freeways. So give yourself a little bit more oomph to your pairing.
Right.
And you have to also keep in mind certain morphs don't mix well with other
Don't
morphs.
go together.
Because like they'll either come out kinked or they just you don't get any good eggs at all.
Well, let me tell y'all something. I tested this, and Gershon knows it. It's so funny because I'm using Morph Market Calculator to tell me what I'm buying, right? And so what I'm looking for is what's not being sold, or if you put stacked genetics and then there's none available on Morph Market, I'm targeting that. So I wanted to see what would happen if you put a spider to a spider. If Morph Market would tell you, don't do that, it will not do it. It will not do it. It will not. It says this will be lethal.
Yeah, but I love that though, because like so
That's
many
what I
people
said.
come into it, you know, if they don't know the proper genetic codes. I think that's amazing that they're, especially if they're using the calculator like that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Right.
Yeah, so I tell you, for
That's
me,
right.
it's been amazing. I have a whole book of just genes that I'm stacking, and then I keep a record of anytime I search Morph Market to see the availability with season up. You know, I'm keeping a whole track of that. But for me, I think that what I want to keep in mind is two things: is that there's a ball python for everybody, and even
Yep.
though I may not create a world's first, you know, I don't want to be rich from it. I want to supplement my income at some point, but not, you know, never for it to be my main income.
Right. Like something
But
part-time or something.
I do think that the hard part for me is going to be losing animals. You know, every time I purchase an animal, they come to me healthy, you know,
Mhm.
or supposedly healthy. You know, someone is eating and things like that. So to be able to like hatch out eggs and hear stories of people, the eggs that make it, Lord Jesus, I'm gonna need some medicine for those moments.
It's hard.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna need it. So I was like,
Out of
Melody, you know, yeah. Go ahead, Mel.
out of my five, only three made it. And like you saw the first one, it didn't even come out of the egg. It didn't even make it out the egg. I think the umbilical cord was wrapped around it some kind of way. Then the second one didn't absorb all of the yolk, so getting it to actually eat was a lot. We had to force feed it every few days because we could only get a little pinky mouse. You know, it didn't make it. Um, but the other three are good. One just left home last week, and I'm shipping the other one to Candy as soon as this weather does right. Are yours coming in this week, Nicole? Because I'm scared to ship. I'm really, really scared.
So
But I'm
yeah, I will tell you that this week wasn't good. So what I do is I look at the FedEx trackers, even for the people who are shipping to me. And if anybody who are holding my snakes right now says no, it's because they just can't ship. And so I know the warning was all last week, and thank God, because it told me it was going to be 65 degrees here. But that storm came through and totally changed the weather. So I'm so happy that all of my breeders, you know, agreed that we're not shipping. I
Mhm.
think that first of all, any breeder who ships an animal, I don't even care if the person insists on it. I'm not shipping my animal. It's my animal first. It's kind of like I say when we had babies, we're mothers first. You know, the fathers are incidental, but we're mothers first. But I'm not shipping it, and I don't expect nobody to ship a baby that they actually incubated, raised to me sooner
Absolutely.
than it's safe enough. I mean, it's unsafe enough to ship them, in my opinion. You know
Well,
what I
you
mean?
can't
Like
even
we
take
Right.
already
that
taking a
kind of
risk.
safety precautions, though. You know what
Yeah,
I
we
mean?
already taking a risk.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. All right. So we have a lot of comments. So let's go to the comments. Monica said, "My youngest son asked for a reptile, and it came looking at Little Pete. I took over it, and it went from there. Oh,
Oh.
he knew where he was going. Hey, Dad. So hopefully I see Dad in Tinley. Dad, there's no excuse. Monica waiting on a rack that comes in purple. Oh,
Yes, yes,
girl,
right.
yes, that'll fit perfectly right here in Lady T's Exotics. So, I would tell you that I finally think that once my new racks come, that I'm going to totally paint one of the rooms purple and gold. Let's see. Q
Hello.
said, "Hey ladies, hey Nicole, hey Jordan, hey Capri, hey Melody, four of my favorite gals. Hey Q."
Hey, hey.
I love my shirt too, Q. This is actually one of the original Bro shirts that I ever purchased from Bro. Yes. All right, let me. Hold on.
I should have worn my brochure today.
I was just talking to
Oh, we
I
got
wore
plenty.
mine
Yeah,
today.
we got plenty of
That
time.
girl with me.
Yes. So
Nice.
that's the
I
shirt
like
I
that.
love.
Beautiful.
So
That's
yeah,
nice.
that's the shirt I love.
Mm-hmm.
So right now I have my I mean she's actually my sister's best friend. But she's like a sister to me too. But she's worked. I have her. I sent her my logos because I want very specific outfits for Tinley, like to represent my brand, and it's going to be so much fun doing it. So she's going to be working on that for me. I love my shirt Q. Jamal. Hey Jamal. Yo, that's my bestie. You came over here with the reptile people. Jamal, let me explain to you what a rack is. So, Jamal, a rack is, and you and I might have had this conversation before. It's when you see it almost looks like a stack of drawers. So you don't see them displayed like you see my other snakes throughout the house. They're like in a stack of drawers, and you kind of pull the drawers out, and the snakes are housed there in different size tubs. It's normally what breeders use because, of course, some breeders have thousands and thousands and thousands of snakes. It's no way that you can have all of the aquariums and
Right.
PVCs enclosures and stuff like that for them. So it's the way that you house your snakes when you're actually well, some people who don't breed actually keep them in there too, but it's a way to save space. Depending on the breed, like ball pythons, it doesn't bother me that much, but I can't imagine retics being in a rack more than a year.
I can show my PVC rack really quick.
Yeah. I think
this is here to do, but that's my rack, my Tegu cage. So those are 28 quart tubs.
Okay.
I used to have so many of those. But yeah, I don't know. For those getting into breeding, or even those that have like 1,001 snakes, it's so much more convenient in my opinion. Like it saves so much more space. It's a lot easier to clean, easier for you to maintain your temps, your humidity, the whole 9 yards. I got colubras, my boa, eating all my balls, well, all my pythons in general, in this one rack until I can get everyone into my display cages.
Cool. So QX, question for all 4 of you ladies. You all have a few different types of reptiles, but what are each one of you all niche? What is the top focus for each one of you? So for me, it's the retics, and it's crazy because for most of my life, I owned ball pythons, but I was literally like first of all, ball pythons was the first snake that I had. Ball pythons was easy to own, like to dial into the husbandry and everything. Getting into retics, I really feel like for 2 years I had to go to college. Like I read so many books, had to study so many things, learned so many of their behavioral differences. And so for me, because I understood their intelligence, I actually worked with them. Kind of like y'all remember the movie The Deep Blue Sea when they was working with the sharks? That's how I am with my retics. So if one day the retics just take over the house, it's because I taught them how to do it. And that's my niche for that. I know about ball pythons. I know of the care of them. As far as getting into breeding and the morphs, it's a whole new thing if it's not the basic, old school morphs for me. So, Capri, same question.
Pretty much for now, just the ball pythons. Like maybe retics later, maybe Burmese later, but mainly my focus right now is just to really just learn more about the genetics and get into breeding pied balls, bananas, and clowns. But I really, really, really want to get into bearded dragons though. That's my thing. I want to. Okay. That's gonna be the next thing. I want to get into the bearded dragons next. And
I think that's dope.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been doing a lot of research on bearded dragons in the last couple months. So that, and maybe one day, work with some children that has, autistic, I want to say, I don't want to say not like a disability, but like, kids with autism. I would like to introduce the ball pythons to them and do like more like a therapy sessions for them,
So I don't know if you noticed that. That's something that I talk about all the time. And my son is, like I said, federally coded O1, intellectually delayed. And I know what they do for, I think that part of my path is to talk about the importance of reptiles. And I said this when me and Melody was on. There is no studies behind what reptiles do for even us. So I'm looking at you, Capri. I'm looking at you, Jordan. I'm looking at you, Melody. Each one of you, I can tell you have a problem that the reptiles solve. I'm serious.
That's true, though.
People don't realize if you take a reptile away from some of us, you create
we're gonna go crazy.
Another generation sociopath.
Right. Yeah.
And I don't think,
I mean, they're already going crazy now.
Exactly. The impact of that. Like, I don't think no one understands that when you look at all of us, Q, Petsite, Mike, Dev, just all of us, we have some type of social disorder or mental disorder that our reptiles solve or soothe. Tell me I'm lying. Who want to say she's not right on that? In the comments, tell me. That's right, Melody. Hallelujah.
My personal opinion is everyone else has the problem. We're the normal ones. Just
yeah. Like I tell people, don't play with my snakes. Don't play with me and my snakes.
Exactly. So Petsite, German Shepherds. I love German Shepherds. I work at a daycare, kennel, training, grooming facility. I love German Shepherds too. I have a Rottweiler, and our neighbor used to have a German Shepherd, and they used to be very, very close. And when they sold their house, my Rottweiler always looks over at that house and bark at the people who now lives in the house. That's their house, but he doesn't understand it.
Wow.
Yeah. So Capri, what made you go to get your certification as a master herpetoculturist, correct?
Certified master herpetologist.
Okay.
Yeah. Just to learn more about the animals, their backgrounds, their characteristics, just pretty much anything and everything that I can know about reptiles. The only thing about that class, they didn't teach us about the different morphs. It was more about where they came from, the environments, their natural environments. Like, we learned a lot about salamanders. It wasn't a whole lot about snakes and stuff. It was mostly about amphibians and salamanders and Sicilians and stuff like that. So not a lot about what we talk about. It was mainly just like
I
amphibians.
would tell you, there's a lot of good books out there. I'm going to actually I have one of Kevin McCurley's original books that he needs to reprint, Kevin, that teaches you a lot about more. It's in this house somewhere, and I just have to find it, and I'll share it with you. I ordered another one. I don't have it in front of me from Amazon. It wasn't Kevin's book recently, but the book was very expensive. It was like $300. So I hope it gives me everything I need to know.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna ask
but it was mainly, it wasn't a lot about reptiles to me. It was more about amphibians and salamanders.
Got you.
Yeah. So.
Which is the problem with a lot of our veterinarians. Yeah. So that is the problem. If you talk to a real veterinarian, a lot of them are not taught a lot about exotic pets.
Right, they're not.
That's why we have to figure some things out for ourselves, whether we like it or not.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
Not gonna go there. I'm not gonna get my pressure up. This is all about positivity.
I mean, if you take even like where I'm from, like if you take your snake to a vet, they look at you like you're crazy. Like, we don't deal with snakes here. I'm like, what do you mean? It's like there's not a lot of there's not a lot of exotic veterinarians around,
Mhm.
especially in my area. You know, that they focus mainly on dogs and cats and stuff like that, but not reptiles. So that's my goal, is to learn more about that
Mine
to become an
is
exotic
like
veterinarian one
dogs,
day.
cats, and cows, but no reptiles.
No
Cows,
reptiles.
horses, pigs,
It's like
sheep,
the reptiles don't get enough
no
You said
love.
cows
reptiles.
with no reptile.
Yeah.
Fish,
Yeah,
catfish, you know, no reptiles.
No
yeah.
reptiles.
And that's why we gotta appreciate our old school hobbyists, and all that they bring to the table, because a lot of what we do know is from what the mistakes they made with their animals along the way. So, the Kevins, the Toms, the Bryans, they lost a lot of animals that saved our animals today.
Mhm.
When I think of reticulated pythons, the one reason that I stay a member of Retic Nation is because that is where most of your long-term retic breeders are, or people who actually have a bunch of wild caught retics and know all about them. I learned so much from Retic Nation. I can't take nothing away from that group when it comes to how much I learned about retics. Um, so yeah, I think that it's very important that we study about our animals, pay a lot
Right.
of attention to them,
Mm-hmm.
and provide them the care that they need. Because, like I said before, they count on us. Yes, Mike, the safety of the animals comes first. And anybody who thinks anything other than that, I wouldn't buy an animal from them. I made that mistake before, right, Melody?
Right. Yes, we did.
That won't happen again. Um, Deb came close to getting tagged by a rattlesnake. Deb, what?
What in
Let
the
me
world?
tell you something. If you gonna go out, it better not be a rattlesnake when you dealing rubbing the head of a king cobra every day. You better not let a little rattlesnake take you out of here. I'm really gonna be mad. Yes. Deb says stop the Lacey Act. Yes, I'm
Yes.
sure. Well, so Capri has been communicating that. All over Instagram, we're communicating that. That's right. I do believe, though. I don't know if y'all saw the live the other day with Brian and Phil Goss. Phil said the impact that the reptile community has made in writing professional letters to the senators is definitely noticed. Like, they're getting feedback that we're making an impact. So keep doing what we're doing to make sure that, let's be clear, no one is going to be able to come take our animals away from us.
Right.
However, for those of us who are planning to breed, I can't tell you if I breed a bunch of pythons, I can sell them here alone in Maryland. So that will impact you if you are
Yeah.
a breeder. If you're a person who owns and your job relocates and you want to move from Maryland to Virginia, you won't be able to take your animals with you unless you're risking a federal charge, just like it is if you have a handgun in your car that's not registered with, bullets in it. So we have to make sure that we remain verbal. Again, what I love about these platforms, 15 years from now, I mean, 15 years ago or 10 years ago when they were fighting the Lacey Act and all these other laws were coming out, there was not enough of these platforms. You didn't see a bunch of people on YouTube talking about the Lacey Act, or a bunch of people of different demographics and a bunch of people from different age groups, everybody with the same message. And that's one of the things that I want to make sure we do as a hobby. One voice, one sound, regardless of who you are, where you are. Represent. You can be an AKA and you can still represent Delta Sigma Theta. You don't have to be separated in a hobby that we all love. We're separated from the world enough. We are
Mhm.
already cast over to the island of reptile lovers. So we have to love on each other at all times.
Absolutely.
Herb collectors. Mike said, "Clown and pod are staple genes in the industry hobby. Good stuff, Capri."
Definitely.
Q said, "Wow, Capri, I love that you want to do that with your snakes."
Yes. Yes.
Hey, Balls. Balls of Balls says, now, we hang out a lot on lives during the week. That's what I mean. You know, when you talk about networking, we didn't know each other before Keys Constricted. So it's dope that we actually follow each other. So she says, my niece is autistic and she is fascinated with my ball pythons. She comes to my house and she will be so peaceful and quiet with one on her lap. I, you ain't got to tell me. It's a fact. It's a fact. If I can just find somebody who's willing to let us demonstrate that clinically,
Right.
I promise you they have a solution to a problem. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
there's nothing that's going to solve all things. You know, some of these people are belong that a whole nother level of mental. You know, it's not going to keep somebody from being a pedophile, but it will help people with HDHD and DD with the ADD and all that other stuff that they want to medicate kids for that they don't need. You just need to find a way to refocus their attention. And what I believe that snakes have that even calms us down as adults, and I'm no educator, I can just tell you from my experience, you instantly, when you engage with a snake, have to focus 100%. The
Right.
moment you commit that I'm going in there to pick up that ball python, the corn snake, the retic, the burn, whatever, you are 100% committed to focusing on your actions with that animal.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Instantly. It's not a thought. It's not a should I focus? It is I instantly focus. And that's what most kids with a lot of social disorders or educational disorders just need a way or something to look forward to or refocus that energy. It's not medicine.
You are correct.
Monica says, just hoping I can get all my favorite before these stupid legislation changes. Stupid. So, Monica, I stay encouraged that as long as we keep platforms like this going, showing our different faces, because I always say when people would say to me, especially in my work environment, oh my God, you don't look like someone who will own snakes. What am I supposed to look like? I think like I'm serious. Like what does that look like? I suppose that things. Like I don't understand what that vision
What
looks
does that
like.
mean?
Right. What that mean? Um, but what I think is happening in this newer days is that because we do have these platforms, people are looking at us and seeing we're normal people. Capri is a professional, Melanie is a professional, Nicole is a professional, Jordan is a professional. Before people just thought we were crazy people with tattoos and holes in our ears, right?
Mm-hmm.
No, that's a part of the reptile community, just like that's a part of every other community. Myself, listen. There is diversity and inclusion in every community. But what I think that I love is that specifically when I look at the women of our community, it brings a soft beauty
Right.
to reptiles.
Mm-hmm.
Like it takes away that ugliness that people immediately have of them because no way someone as beautiful as you could want to engage with something that was so beastly. It's just not normal. So I think that is a benefit that we have. I think it's a great benefit to expose children. And I want to talk about that. Let me get through
Oh
these
yeah,
questions and then I'm going to go to that question. So
yeah. Because
Monica,
I've been told that I have to talk about that by my class. So just
okay.
I'm ready.
We're gonna talk about that one. That's the one right there. We're gonna come to that. It said, Monica says we sending Capri to the floor as house speaker. When I go to the vet, I just tell them, give me the antibiotic, thank you. Exotic vet may as well be on Mars from here. You know what, Monica? Recently, I had to take my cow retic to the vet, and I just only took even some of the professional people was like it wasn't necessary, but if I'm gonna lose a snake, it wasn't gonna be that one. So I took her to the vet. The vet looked at her, talked about how beautiful she was, and said, all I can do is give you an antibiotic and show you how to use it. This snake is hardy. It will, recover. He was like, unless your snake has some type of internal illness that they can't really treat without cutting the snake open anyway, it's not much they can do. And most surgeries, what I learned is 80% of surgeries that are done on snakes will kill them naturally. Naturally.
I didn't know.
Yes. So I don't know if I want to take that. Oh, I'm from Maryland. Be more. Oh, Monica. So shut up, Q. I was born and raised in Baltimore. I don't claim it. I'm a DC girl now. I've been here since '91. Um, but yeah, I am. But you turn on club music, Q would tell you I turn into a Baltimore girl all the way. Um, can't help that. Deb said, I found out from Brian that the Lacey was originally just made to target bootleggers from crossing state lines and not reptiles. Then over time, they started targeting reptiles and other animals. That makes sense. And that's why most people are for the overall act. Q said, the hobby has the finest women of any hobby, hands down. Don't debate me. For sure, you won't get a debate on that. All right, so let's talk about children and reptiles. So some of you who follow me know that my grandchildren, specifically my soon-to-be 6-year-old granddaughter, handles all of them. All of them. She swims with the water monitor. She handles the tegu. She handles all the snakes. The only ones that she don't handle alone are 3 of my larger retics. But I know that there are several people, specifically one of my favorite people I love to watch is Ed. I can't say his last name. His last name may be Teoka, his daughter, with his 2 retics. And he gets a lot of flack about it. But when I tell you, I have seen a video of that little girl make Cher do yoga with her. Like literally, look it up. Google it on YouTube. You will see. And people don't come at me with the snake didn't know what it was doing. Watch her pose, her yoga pose, and watch the snake come up on her and get in the exact same pose.
Wow.
Look it up. Jordan, you know what I'm talking about? Do you know who I'm talking about? It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's
I
amazing.
gotta check that out.
Oh, you have to go look. It's just her and those retics is amazing. And she also is the reason why I'm not afraid of actually handling a lot of my retics right out the cage with a hook. Because I learned with them, just like most ball pythons, is that as long as they don't see food, they normally know the difference. Or like for me, which side of the cage I approach, they know the difference. Mm-hmm. But Melody, talk about how your view on children and snakes from your professional perspective.
Well, like I said, I have mine. We bring our snakes here at least once a week to my school, and the majority of the children love them and keep them calm. My children we watched last week's podcast, and the kids say we didn't say enough about how children love them and all of that stuff. So,
take it away.
But yeah, it really does make a difference. It helps a lot of them stay calm, become calm, because they see the snakes don't seem to be agitated. So then that helps them stay calm. And like you said, they focus on the snake. A lot of them will sit, especially my little assistant, Davis. He will have one of my bigger balls while he does his work. You know, they're allowed to keep the snake. If they've been doing good, then they can have the snake to hold or a dragon to hold or whatever. And they do it while they're doing the work. They have the baby with them. And it could be any size, one of my hatchlings to one of the 3 or 4-year-old snakes that I have. But the children really love it. And when it's warm outside, my new big Sam, my new boa, one of the girls came and she's really, really, really quiet. And she said, Miss Patterson, can I take Sam outside? And I said, yeah. She had Sam outside for about 20 minutes. They were out there doing their work. And then she brought him back in, and she kept Sam on her for over an hour. It helped her stay calm. And, you know, she's very shy, so she doesn't really like to be around people. But she and Sam were like this now. And she took her to the car when they were getting ready to go home. And her dad said, oh, no, take them back. Nope, you're not bringing it. Nope, take it home. But yeah, kids love them. All of the different things that I've done with children, most of the children love them. Adults, not so much, but children love them.
And I
I
think
really think
for the adults who don't, they were never exposed to them. And if they were, it was in the wrong way. Like, okay, of course, I'm still not a fan of herping because I don't want to step on a snake because, you know, all the snakes that I'm good with, I know what they are. When you out in the woods and you just step on something, like, then you got to touch the snake to see what it is, to make sure they got anti-venom. If it's venomous, like, that's just a whole lot of stress. But
yeah.
I also had a balance. I was raised around a lot of animals. So, of course, it's the wild snake because my granddaughter, her paternal grandparents, great grandparents, no, paternal great grandparents own a big farm, and it's in Southern Maryland. So I always teach her not to pick up snakes from the outside because they got a whole another thing going on the farm. They not like Pearl, even though Pearl is a big Burmese python. That little copperhead would take you out of here. So we teach her that, you know, because I do think it's important that you teach kids that, yes, there are some snakes that you can just pick up. There are others. Like, I mean, we can't say she can't pick up a king cobra because dads do it all the time. But it's steps to that. It's levels to picking up a king cobra. Okay?
That's
Grandma been doing this for 31 years. And the closest she got to a king cobra was outside of Leland's enclosure. And I was nervous just walking in the room. And the snake was behind the enclosure. So I think that that's important that you teach them both. But Jordan, you have a little girl, right?
I have a little sister, yeah.
A little sister, okay. Yep. And she's around them a lot.
She is, yeah. So when I used to stay with my parents and having and my parents are kind of like what you brought up earlier, the typical parents, you know, not a big whole fan of snakes and whatnot, but she would just go into she knew certain tubs of my racks because at that time I had multiple racks. And she knew exactly which snakes she wanted to take out when, you know, the whole shebang. Yeah, she enjoys them. So, and then all of her cousins or friends or whoever, she'll be like, look at my sister's snake. And she'll bring down 3 of them. And I'm like, okay, I guess it's show and tell now.
Right. So I always send videos to my granddaughter phone. So when she tells people, one day she went to school and she was so mad because no one believed that she swam with an Asian water monitor. And she's like, Pooh, because she goes, Pooh, tell them you have an Asian, that's how she talks, an Asian water monitor, and we swim in his house with them. And my teacher said, I can't have an Asian water monitor. They don't live here. I said, show her the video. So I sent her videos of everything now. So she got backup because people don't believe my baby when she tells them she's doing things.
That's so cute. I love that.
Yes. Oh, she gets so dramatic about it. Deb says, when Juliette went to Mr. Beast, first of all, Juliette went to Mr. Beast, y'all. She's a superstar. And I didn't know where she was going. He said he made a post. You know, Juliette is my adopted niece. And he had made a post saying that she had to go away. I'm like, where is she going? You know, and he couldn't tell me. It was secret until it actually happened. So he said when she went to Mr. Beast, she went up to everyone in a curious manner. Even when she's in a room full of kids, she's very calm and curious as if she loves the attention. I thought was amazing was that she was stranded with Brian in a hotel. And she didn't poop and shit everywhere. So Juliette gets more kudos from me. Taco for president. Yes. Taco for president. Yeah. Definitely should be an ambassador for King Cobras. Definitely. All right. So another question for Capri. I'll start with you because I don't know the answer. Are you married? You are married. I do know that answer.
Yes, I am.
So your husband, is he into the reptiles too?
No. See, my husband doesn't like animals at all. But dogs, cats, birds, does not like animals at all. But huh?
No, I didn't say anything.
I was gonna say, no, when he first found out that I was getting my first snake, he was not happy. He was not happy about it. And I was like, I'm sorry, you're just gonna have to deal with it. And now that I have 4, you know, he's used to it now. So he doesn't complain, he doesn't bother, you know. He's not really afraid of them, but he won't get near them.
Okay.
Yeah, but no, he's not into animals. It doesn't matter. Reptiles, dogs, cats, nothing. He doesn't like them at all. But he'll tolerate. He tolerates it for now. So
yeah, I mean, I think that's all that's important.
yeah.
I know somebody asked me one time, you know, how do you deal with that relationship when the other person doesn't like animals? And I had to say to him, you know, it's just like with everything else. You know, when you're married, there's things that your spouse may be into that you don't like. You just don't have to be a part of it. How much of the other stuff, you know, works for y'all?
Yeah. Yeah, you know, I can sit there and play your video games all day. Then I'm gonna do it with my reptiles. So
right, you got your thing. My husband is literally crypto to 3 o'clock in the morning. Okay, cryptocurrency, this, that, and the other. And I'm not into it. I'm just not. Just tell me when we rich. That's all I need to know.
Right.
Let me know when we rich, and I'm good. But for me, that's his thing. For me, it's the reptiles. I can sit down here with them, cleaning and everything with music to 3 o'clock in the morning, and we just respect that. I think anybody after you're married for so many years need your own thing to some degree, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't have to be at the bar with strippers, you know, but you need something.
Maybe one day he'll come around. Maybe one day he'll come around. Last week he actually touched one of my snakes, so I mean, he did do that. Yeah. So, but
that's coming around.
Huh?
I said that's definitely coming around.
Yeah, he's coming around a little bit. So, you know, that was a step. I'm not going to rush him. I'm not going to make him, you know, do something that he don't want to do. You know, when he feels like he's ready to hold them and handle them, then that's on him, you know.
Yeah, big stuff for my husband is just looking at him. Like, he's intrigued and he asks questions. And, like, when I get new ones, he want to see them. When I first got it, he didn't want to see them, didn't know they existed. Could you hide them? You like, can you know, he didn't want to walk through a room with them. Especially when I first got the retics. For those of y'all who follow like Mike and Vaughn, he would be the one who would come turn the LEDs off at night, and I would die laughing because you could see him on a camera peeking around the corner before he go walk into the room, and watching him trying to, you know, turn everything off, you know, get out of the room real fast. And I'm like, what you think is just going to open the door and just be like, hello? Not going to happen. Not going to happen. Hey, Gershon.
The best part was getting my mom to come around to him, though. My mom used to be terrified. She used to be terrified of snakes, but now she's like, "Oh, they're not that bad after all." So, yeah, that's a good thing now.
So I didn't realize you had 4. I remember you getting the very first one. I think was the banana and the pie. Yeah. Your banana was the first. The pie was the second.
The banana was first. The normal was second. The pie was third, and the albino was the fourth one. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay. That's right. I actually rescued the normal one. So, and the pie was the first one, but I was like, I fell in love with the banana one. So I got the banana one first, and then the normal. I rescued the normal, and then I got the pie third, and then the albino one.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, if you had to pick which one of your reptiles had your personality, which one would it be?
I would have to say the pied. The pied, because she's very spunky, very energetic. Like, she's the most hyper snakes out of all the other ones that I have. Like, she's always looking around, always exploring. I always got to be like looking to see who's coming in. And you know, snakes can't hear. You know, I guess they feel vibrations and stuff like that. But because when I come home, she'll poke her little head out like, who's in here? And she'll just stick her head to the window, like, take me out of the tank. I want to get out. And when I take her out, you know, she's looking around and she's just checking out everything. The other ones are just chill. You know, you put around your neck, they just sit there. But she's always want to be on the go. Go.
Yeah. What about you, Melody? Which one you would think has your personality, the closest to your personality?
The bearded dragon.
Okay.
Shoo, yes, Shoo Shoo, my bearded dragon, is the closest of my reptiles to me, to my personality. Friendly, quiet, kind of, you look at it and think she should be, I don't know, bougie, but she's not. She's really friendly. Um, and she loves everybody. But then she's kind of picky too. So yeah, I would definitely say Shoo Shoo. And she loves to dress up. So there's that. Yeah.
Yes, I see Shoo Shoo all over TikTok.
Yes, Shoo Shoo's amazing.
And that one,
Yeah,
Shoo
but
Shoo, you got from Candy. You got Shoo Shoo from
I
Ohana, right?
did. I got
Okay.
Shoo Shoo from Ohana Dragons, and she's the best thing. Candy had been telling me I should have gotten one. You need to get one, and I was like, I don't know. My husband's not gonna let me do it. So we were in Texas for spring break, and we take our students every year somewhere. And we were in Texas, so we actually met Candy and the kids. And she just walked up to my husband and said, "Look, Pee Wee, she's getting a dragon. When y'all get home, you're gonna have a dragon, okay?" And he's like, "Okay." And there, I got Shoo Shoo. So that's how I got her. Because he was not finna let it happen.
What about you, Jordan?
That's really hard. It kind of just depends on the day. Like my bell ball python is probably like my overall, like, she's my chill snake, the one that like all the kids like to hold, or just people in general. So if I'm in a chill mood, I'd say that. But my indigo represents, because I'm also ADHD, so I'm like this way, that way, every way. And then the retic, because her feeding response is just so much more than anything else. And we all know, like, if a girl is hungry, we're hungry. No,
That's true.
like,
Yeah.
I don't know. So I don't know. That's kind of hard. Probably a combination of all those.
Got you. Before I say my Capri, I know you have to go to work, so if you have to drop off, baby, please feel free to do so.
Okay, I'm good for
Okay.
now.
Okay, good. So mine is definitely my Motley Golden Child son. She's very moody. She's a very matter of fact with her moods. But when she's in a good mood, she's in a good mood. Like if it's a party and she's in a good mood, she is a riot that day. She's full of personality. And Capri, what I learned with Retic specifically, but I even have some ball pythons. I question if snakes can hear. Now, when I say hear, not necessarily in the way that we do, but I promise you, I'll try to catch it one day. I can go up to my Retic enclosure and say T'Challa, and she'll scoot out.
Oh wow.
My husband has seen that repetitively with his own eyes. So I don't know if it's the way I say her name that it registers some kind of way, but there's some association with hearing.
Right.
Because there's no way that every time I do that, and she's alert. There are times that I might go and she's asleep, because Retics, you got to wake them up. Her voice is not just waking them up. Right. But if she's awake and I go and I say, she could be facing there under her hat or whatever, and I say T'Challa, she instantly scoots out. So I wonder, again, I always say with reptiles, so much has evolved about them. Like, I'm a person who feels that, don't tell me my snakes don't have some sort of emotions or feelings. They do.
Yeah, they do.
They certainly do. I got some that literally act like babies with me or babies with my son. It might have a different personality with, the other.
Right.
And you see individually they have their own personality as well. That has to be associated with some cognitive place in their head to say, this is who I am. This is my individuality. This is how I respond to this. This is how I respond to that. What it is, I don't know, but I do believe that we have, or should, and by now, evolve from the fact that I can't say, and I'll be honest, I never even thought of that until I started experiencing the Burmese and the Retics. But when I look at it, some of the ball pythons respond the same way. My spider ball python responds to my voice or whatever, the pitch, whatever it is. Go ahead, Melody.
I've not seen it with balls at all. I'm sorry. My spiders, they're more excitable. You could tell when they get excited because like I have one that has a really bad wobble and she does everything, but it's when it's time to eat and she smells the rat and then she gets excited and that's about the only thing that I see with the ball python. They all act the same to me. Now, the boas, I do see a difference in the way that they act or behave. I can actually see personality in them. My little Burmese python, she has a lot of personality, totally different. But I cannot honestly say that I've seen any personality in the ball pythons. Maybe I got a bunch of weird ones, but no, they're
You got
literally just snakes who sit there and then if you do something, they think if they think it's food or they get scared or whatever. But other than that, they couldn't care less, not one way or another.
Yeah, Zuri is actually the only ball python who's really different from the other ball pythons that I have. Like she's just very spunky, like, and she does have a little bit of attitude sometimes.
Is
She,
that the pod?
yeah, the pie.
I think that's in the pod gene.
Yeah, kind of act like she's too good to hang around with the other
I
stuff.
really do. I call it the light skin in the pod. I think it's the pod gene.
Yeah.
My pies are all the same. I have 6 pies, and they're. I'm sorry to be the one to debunk this, but I cannot. Ball pythons are they're perfect for beginning people that are beginning. But if you want excitement, that's not where it's at. They're not the ball python.
I agree. Deb said, question for all. What reptiles would you like to go and study in the wild? Alligators. If I had the opportunity to wrestle one, I would. That's how bad I would want to do an alligator. And don't ask me why. I don't want to step on a snake in a while, but we'll wrestle an alligator. I don't know. But that, if I could say, let's go and do this excursion and wrestle the alligator like Gatorland at night. If you ever did that excursion at night and all of the eyes are just sticking up, that excites me. That excites me. But if that was a den of snakes, it wouldn't. Gators. What about you, Capri?
That's a good question. There's so many of them out there. I would say maybe the cobra. Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, the cobra. They're just beautiful. I'm fascinated by the way they look. They're just awesome looking snakes. I wouldn't want to handle one, but just study from a distance. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think they're beautiful too, but yeah. Melody?
I would say any of the big snakes. Like I would love to see them in their natural habitat. I really would, just to be able to watch and observe. Alligators or crocodiles, whatever, that would be fun too. I could go for a good gator wrestling. I could do that too. But the big snakes really, they really fascinate me as far as learning about them and seeing where they actually came from and all of that stuff. It would be big snakes for me.
Yeah, one of my favorite YouTube videos is when Paul Colombo went to Indonesia and actually observed the retics in a wild. And that was pretty informative. What about you, Jordan?
I probably have to agree with Melody, like especially getting into the retics now. Just like observing and learning like all of the, especially the smaller island locales, like for the dwarf and super dwarf. And I think it would be, so next year I'm planning on getting a gator. Hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll see. But I'm kind of intrigued to determine or like find the difference between the American to the Chinese alligators. Because there's 2 different breeds or species of alligator. So yeah, I don't know. Kind of like a toss up between those 2.
Okay. That's a good question. But yeah, I know it's alligators for me. I would be ecstatic. Monica, my leopard tortoises are my heart. The Dumeru boa is the easiest pet ever.
That's true.
So I love Dumeru boas. I really, really do. And I almost got one, but I really don't have the space for it for what everything else I want to do. But I do love Dumeru boas.
They're so worth it. Like as a pet to keep in your collection. Because I have my girl and she was a rescue and she is so chill. Like I don't know. She just has that just like a certain essence to her. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But I agree. They're super easy to keep. I love her.
I agree. Mike says, what does each of you want to be known for in this hobby and industry? Um, so I would say it's similar to what Capri said. I want to be known as a educator of the species, of multiple reptile species. I want to show the world that they do provide more than rodent control, that they are animals that could be used in social settings, to in educational settings and behavioral settings to help with our disabled children of today, whether it's mentally or socially disabled.
Mhm.
Melody,
Oh,
Mike's
I
question.
would I would like I want to be known as the person who shows you that normal, regular, not rich people can have these animals too and take care of them and the animals can thrive. I want to be that normal person that other normal people can identify with, even though I don't think I'm normal. But, just the average person. Because if I look, just me, I see a lot of people and I always think, oh, wow, they must have a lot of money. I don't have money like that. I can't possibly. I want to be that spokesperson for those people who think that same way, because you don't have to be rich to be able to treat your animals the correct way. You don't have to have a lot of money. You don't have to do it a certain way. I want to be that person that other people can see that through. Yeah, that's me.
And I agree with some of you said. Like somebody asked me one time, what do I think the difference between keeping my retics in large totes were compared to keeping them in 8 footers? And I said, as long as that tote is 8 feet, nothing. Like for me, it's a lot. It's for me. Like I like the way it looks for
Mm-hmm.
me. For them,
Mm-hmm.
they're only worrying about, do I have space to move, climb, water, heat, a
Right.
place to hide. And that's a great point, Melody, because at the end of the day, people can say, well, PVC is better. A tub is way better to maintain humidity. I don't care who built your PVC. Although I don't have issues in my PVC when it comes to stabilized humidity where I live, because it all does make a difference to what your overall climate is. Tubs would
Mm-hmm.
be better if you can find tubs big enough to house them in.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So it's all about a look for me, and the fact that I can stack the PVCs for space. But
Yeah.
other than that, I totally agree. Um, Jordan, what would you like to be known for?
Kind of just like a mix of all that, like education has just always been like a huge thing for me. But kind of like going off of yours, Melody, I just want to like show people like you don't have to have a cat or a dog, especially if you're
Mm-hmm.
super busy or you are allergic or you live in an apartment that only allows like 25 pounds or lower, this or that, whatever, but you can't have fish. Whatever these crazy housing pet, requirements is, a lot of people don't understand that, especially for snakes. They're so easy to keep and to have. You don't have to
Yes.
take them outside. You don't have to walk them. You don't have to handle them I like to handle my snakes as often as I can.
Right, but that's because you like to. You don't have to.
Yeah. But you know what
Yep.
I mean? A ball
Yep.
python, you water it twice a week, you feed it once a week.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Or every other week, like whatever your thing is. And I see like every snake is different, but I don't know. I think it would be super special, especially with all this Lacey stuff going on, if we can beat it, to just like unify and just for the whole reptile pet industry to go up. I think that would just be
Mhm.
really special.
That's why I'm
Right.
so excited about this Tinley, guys. Because the last time I went to one was way before COVID. Um, but this one, even compared to me watching the last 2 years, it's so much of camaraderie that's coming together. People from different places, different ethnicities, different walks of the breeding path, and everybody's just looking so forward to. I'm going to somebody's house, y'all. I don't even know. I'm Big D. I'm at Big D's house. I was invited. He ain't never met me. He invited all of us, and he said, "The more the merrier." I'm going. Or you ain't got to tell me to party once. If y'all know me, invite me to a party. It's a party. I'm going. I'm going to be there. And I'm hoping my husband comes out with me because so many of those guys I think that actually could have an influence on how he views the hobby and the breeding path, because the reality of it is that once we start going down breeding, it's no longer just a hobby for me, it's a business, and God forbid something happens to me, he not only have to maintain or figure out a way to consolidate my animals but the business as well. So I'm hoping there's so many people, and I keep telling him, saying, "Babe, there's so many people who are your people." My husband likes to have fun, and he's a laid back guy, but he likes real men. Like, he likes to be around real people. And I'm like, these are your people, I'm telling you. So I'm hoping that he'll come out at least Friday night, when we all hang out. But I think this Tinley is going to be special in that way. Um, I think the other thing that I want is what Jordan said, is the unification of us all as reptile keepers. That one day, or regardless of what level you are, in this, that we look out for each other, that we support each other. I think that I want to set barriers where women are as influential in this hobby as the men are. So kind of place our faces forward. We kind of always been like, we know as women in the hobby. Q always talk about in the bro group alone, there are way more women than it is men statistically. So clearly we are the leaders in the hobby. Most women are the ones who provided their children with that first pet. So I want to kind of get our faces out there in the forefront, and I will be using this platform for this. So don't be surprised when I ask you guys, to jump on, like we did this time, because this was scheduled for John's memorial, but since his family had his memorial, we wanted to lay him to rest and move forward so that he can just spread his wings up in heaven. So we didn't do that, but you guys were very responsive in helping me do this. But this is not going to be the last time that we have this particular kind of platform, where it's just four ladies talking about reptiles. And like I said, some of you want to be consistent. There's some other faces I want to add to the mix of us as well, that has so much to bring, from an educational purpose, to the platform. Candy being one of them. I'd be glad when she can get free, so I can bring her on here and talk about her breeding dragons, because there's not a lot of women that I know who do it on that level. I mean, she produces beautiful dragons, and I'm sure they're not animals that it's easy to incubate and things like that. So I like to learn more about the things I don't know. Like, that's why people who own the cobras and stuff like that intrigue me a lot. But yeah, that's what I want, and we're doing a good job. I think I'm experiencing a lot of positivity in the reptile community lately. At least amongst the tiers and the peers that I'm with. I'm seeing individuals bring people together that otherwise wouldn't be together. And to me, that's dope as I do not know what, because I will say this: we are a special breed of people. What we do is amazing. The levels that we're doing it in, Melody building a whole shed, hanging drywall, and, just things that people don't know what goes into invest in it. So when you make certain jokes about our reptiles, they like our children. I mean, shoot, there are times my daughter tell you I spend more money on my reptiles than I did my own kids. There's no shame in my game. They already know that Dr. Bill for them was not as much as that one for that snake. But
Right.
I think that I would love to see where we're not taboo in the world.
Mhm.
Where reptile keeping is just like dog keeping. And as much
Yeah.
as we expose ourselves, and that's why I think it's important for everybody to have all of these different platforms. And I try to be a part of them all, because when we do that, we're spreading the love and the word amongst each other. Q said, I so wish I could come to this Tinley. The networking and meeting everyone and all of that would be so amazing. Just being able to unify everyone. Yes, Q, I wish you could too. I know you got a lot going on, but I think I do think this one's going to be special. So I'm going to ask anybody who can swing it and wing it, to come on down in March. And I'm going to definitely say thank you, ladies, again for jumping on. Thank you for being a positive representation. Thank you for being very friendly and accommodating to me to help myself shine on my platform. But keep it in mind that this is not just about me, it's about you guys. And so therefore, I want you all to tell people where they can find you and they can follow you. Because like Jordan, the last time I got special messages about where do I follow her? And I was just sending it to people. So if you got random friends, it was because I was just randomly giving. Here she goes. She's on Instagram.
Nope, I don't mind at all.
So Q was asking me what species of cobra I was interested in. I really would like to see more of those leucistic, like the white cobras.
Yeah.
Nerd had one that recently passed away like a few months ago.
Lilith. Mm-hmm.
You don't see those a lot, so I would really love to see, a lot more research done on them. And pretty much any kind of species of cobra. It doesn't matter. King cobra, whatever. Any species of cobra. So
Sure. I think I've seen everything I want to see.
mm-hmm.
I think what I want to do though is wrestle my alligator. One day I'll get that, I'll get that experience. So with that being said, again, I've been trying to make this an hour, Melody. We did it again. It's over an hour. I don't like to take a lot of people's time, but I want to be consistent. We're better than we were the last 3. So we're at an hour and 20 minutes. So I want to just thank you, ladies, so much.
Thank you.
Share the lives, guys. Share the lives. And I think next week I have Mano Bowens from Maine's Morphin Creations, which I'm excited to actually do the interview with him. And that is actually the same day as we are all going to Hamburg. So I will post that schedule because we might change the timing of that one to maybe Sunday instead, but I'll see. But I'll post that one later. But thank you guys. Capri, have a great day at work.
You
Melody, keep being awesome. And Jordan, thank you for being so active in the group as well. You didn't just join, you're active members. So thank you so much, so much, so much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
You guys take care.
All right, bye, everybody. Take care.
Bye-bye.